Jill Duggar's husband Derick Dillard has claimed the family relies on food banks during their financial struggle after dad Jim Bob allegedly stole money from them, according to unsealed court records. Sisters Jill, Jessa, Jinger and Joy-Anna sued the City of Springdale, police department employees and other defendants for invasion of privacy, claiming releasing their oldest brother Josh's accostation police report caused emotional distress. Jill, 30, and Jessa, 31, came forward as two of the 5 victims that were accosted in the family home in 2006, while Jinger and Joy-Anna have not. The case was dismissed ahead of trial, as a judge ruled that the sisters failed to prove the released report caused emotional distress. In unsealed court records exclusively revealed by The Sun, Jill's husband Derick revealed the financial strain they have experienced. In the unsealed court papers, the 4 sisters requested evidence of their finances be excluded from the case. But the defendants fought back, claiming in court papers, the plaintiffs have claimed that the release of the redacted report by defendants has caused them extreme emotional distress. Assuming the plaintiffs have experienced emotional distress and due to plaintiffs attributing that emotional distress to the actions taken by defendants, the defendants are entitled to introduce alternative explanations for any emotional distress that the plaintiffs may have suffered, and thus, the plaintiff's financial condition may be relevant to this case. Then used Derick's May 25, 2021 deposition as an example. The court papers continued, because of their lack of income, they receive boxes of food from neighbors and also receive food through a pantry on campus. Whether plaintiff and her husband are struggling financially may be relevant to her emotional state. The filing included Derick's deposition, where he told attorneys, "Our neighbors bring boxes of food sometimes. And I also got food through the pantry on campus." Jill and Derick are expecting their 3rd son to join Israel, 7, and Sam, 4. She and her husband have put their Arkansas home on the market, as they are moving for Derick's law job after he passed the bar exam. Jill and Derick have been open about receiving no compensation from their time on Counting On, as reps for TLC have not responded to The Sun's request for comment in the past. People reported Jim Bob was in charge of the money made from Counting On, as they received $25,000 to $45,000 per episode. The couple didn't receive money from the series until they quit in 2017. Jill said, "That's when we got an attorney involved and finally recovered some of the money. It was a process." Derick said in a YouTube video, "It probably ended up being a little more than minimum wage. But we were able to recover at least something." The show was cancelled in 2021 after oldest brother Josh's arrest for CP. The Sun previously reported the 4 sisters also requested evidence related to their relationship with parents Jim Bob and Michelle be excluded because it has no relevance to the case. In the defendants' response, they claimed their allegation of emotional distress opens the door to inquiries into their lives, including their relationship with the parents. The court filing claimed Jill is the only family member who has sought any type of therapy or counseling following the release of the redacted police reports. The court papers continued that Jill and Derick even entered couples treatment because they were going through some issues with her family, and especially her father, regarding a lack of boundaries related to contractual concerns. According to the court papers, Jill said during a preliminary psychological opinion by Robert Wynn, "I saw a whole new side to my dad once my husband and I started making decisions that were best for our family, but not in his best interest. Sadly, I realized he had become pretty controlling, fearful and reactionary. He was verbally abusive. Our relationship is not good. It got pretty toxic. We occasionally text on a family group thread, but I don't feel comfortable being around him and just hanging out. It isn't good for my mental health right now." Jill also testified that her father has been verbally abusive to her. Court papers claimed they were asked not to come over to the Duggars' house without permission from her father and that her father did not approve of her having a nose ring, drinking alcohol, or wearing pants. The sisters also requested to exclude statements on whether they have forgiven their brother Josh and why they haven't sued him, citing irrelevancy. The defendants argued, The plaintiffs were parties to a PR effort initiated and managed by the family's PR rep/agent that included instructions to the plaintiffs to forgive their brother and publicly pronounce. In the documents, Jill revealed her counselor noted she suffered from re-victimization and trauma following the release of the records. Jill continues weekly sessions with her husband. The opinion read of her current symptoms following the release of the records. On a regular basis, she feels emotionally overwhelmed and prone to tears. She actively strives to manage emotions, distract herself and not think about the ubiquitous triggers. She tries to bury it. The former Counting On star described her childhood as harmonious, happy and stimulating. She was close with her 18 siblings and had loving parents. The Duggars then experienced a family-wide crisis that included Josh being interviewed by police and being sent to residential treatment, and Jill disclosing the abuse to authorities. The release of the records in 2015 resulted in devastating consequences. As she said, all hell broke loose. Jill said, "The trauma is hitting me again, harder than expected, and I anticipate being dragged through the mud again just in an effort to get justice." Jill also elaborated on her relationship with her parents, as she longs to have a relationship with her father again. She said, "My husband and I have had to create some pretty strict boundaries right now to protect our sanity. We pretty much only see him right now at weddings and funerals. I think sometimes he wishes we would just get over it and go back to how things used to be, doing things his way." Continued that she wouldn't want to try to talk their issues out in a smaller setting, as there are too many triggers. For her mom Michelle, she explained she is hurting and wishes her husband Jim Bob would shut his mouth sometimes. All she sees her more than Jim Bob. She said it's still triggering and awkward. In her deposition taken September 1, 2021, she claimed her parents never went to therapy with her. She said the verbal abuse consisted of him looking at her. While the case has been dismissed, the Duggar family's legal hardship is far from over. Josh was found guilty of possessing and receiving CP on December 9 after a nearly 2-week trial. His sentencing has been scheduled for May 25. Jill's husband Derick was in attendance for the trial, while Jill made a brief appearance.